Another theory that is very similar to our purchasing um, power parity theory for the determination of exchange rates in the long run is known as law of one price. Basically, law of one price says that um, the price of the same good should be equal across countries once prices have been converted into a common currency. So basically, the only difference we have with purchasing uh, power parity theory is that instead of referring to a basket of goods, we are referring to one specific good. Um, this law of one price, it's very useful because it's easy to test it against actual data. And one of the most interesting experiments that has been done to test the law of one price is the so-called Big Mac index. So The Economist, which is a famous economics magazine, since 1986 has been keeping track of the cost of a Big Mac, so a known burger produced by McDonald's, across countries in the world. The Big Mac is a very appropriate choice to test the law of one price because a Big Mac is exactly the same whether we buy it in New York City or in Rome or in Mumbai. Okay, so that offers a good example of a good that is very much the same across countries. So the Economist keeps track of the cost of a Big Mac in different currencies across the world, and then by using these different prices of the Big Mac infers what should be the exchange rate that equates the price of the Big Mac in the US to the price of the Big Mac in another country after converting exactly using these exchange rate that realizes the parity between these two costs. So how do we obtain that? Well, we just divide the price of the Big Mac, say in the US, by the price of the Big Mac in another country, for example in China, and we obtain from this ratio the theoretical exchange rate that would realize law of one price. If we find that the exchange rate in the data, so the actual exchange rate that is paid to purchase foreign currency, to be lower than the theoretical exchange rate that we obtain by dividing the domestic price of a Big Mac by the foreign price of a Big Mac, then we would say that if the actual price is lower than the exchange rate that we obtain from the Big Mac experiment, then we would say that the foreign currency is undervalued because the market price of currency is lower than what should be implied by the price differential in Big Macs. On the other hand, if we take the price of a Big Mac in two countries, we divide the price in the US by the price in the foreign country, and we find that the market exchange rate is higher than this ratio, then we would find that the foreign currency that we're considering is overvalued. This allows us to make predictions on where the exchange rate should go in the long run, because if we are finding, for example, that the foreign currency is overvalued in the present, then we should expect that the exchange rate for this currency should, in the long run, decrease if market forces will prevail. On the other hand, if the foreign currency is undervalued, then we should expect that if market forces will prevail, then the exchange rate and so the price of this foreign currency should, in the long run, go up.